and taking the time to just talk about the cool things that you're doing in the world. I know you have a conference coming up that is all about the integration of tech and biology. Can you tell us a little bit more about the conference and just how you integrated your knowledge of cloud computing into biology and their reflection of each other?
So biohacking is it's the art and science of changing the environment around you and inside of you so that you have control of your own biology or control of your state. And about 58% of biohackers are women. And biohacking doesn't take any money at all because sunshine and darkness are free. Intermittent fasting costs less than having Fruit Loops for breakfast. And this is about just knowing the patterns of what to do in your environment, in your decisions, that take less energy and give you more time and more energy back. And yes, there are crazy billionaire technologies we do at Upgrade Labs. But the problem has been I started this idea of like, this is not health, this is not medicine. It encompasses longevity, because if you want to control your state, not dying is a big part of that. But it's not just not dying, it's like living way better and way longer and die when you want to on your own terms. So I created something called the Business of Biohacking Conference, where I'm teaching entrepreneurs in the space. Because biohacking is now a $36 billion industry, according to industry analysts. And I have my name in the dictionary for creating it. So I want to teach the next generation of biohacking entrepreneurs, of health entrepreneurs, how they can do what I did to get to 140 million a year in revenue, starting from scratch. And it's not easy, but there are people who help me, and so I bring those people in to help the people who want to do something that really makes the world a better place. So that's businessofbiohacking.com, and it's here in Austin, Texas. So if you're a practitioner or an entrepreneur, you maybe make devices or supplements, or maybe you want to start doing that, then come and hang out.
I love that because I think a lot of practitioners don't realize the ease of these tools available to them. And I think a lot of people also misunderstand and always think that biohacking has to be a specific device in a specific way. But I know you're also a huge fan of nature. And in your book, Smarter, Not Harder, you talk about what you call like the meat operating system of the body. Yeah. And within this operating system, I'd love if you could share a little bit about like the different modalities that we can use to install new software and how you perceive that operating system, and also how this is affecting healthcare in a world with no time for nature.
Well, the body needs nature, and it's best that you go get some nature. Of course, if you live in a big city, good luck with that. Central Park is not nature, I hate to tell you. It's better than nothing, but it's a weak substitute. So if you're under unnatural lighting all day, your risk of skin cancer is higher than if you're in the sun all day. So maybe you should do something to change the lighting environment. You have bright lights at night. That's going to make it so that you don't sleep as well, even if you still go to sleep. And so these are easy shifts, like get a red nightlight. Like how hard is that? And also, when do you eat and what do you eat? A late dinner isn't a great thing for sleep or recovery. And all these are pretty easy. So biohacking can support us when we're in unnatural environments so that we get our energy and our health back. And if you're in a really unhealthy environment, it takes money and effort to support yourself. And if you were out in the forest, it probably wouldn't take as much money or effort, but you probably wouldn't have as much money either. So we're all making a trade-off of our time. If you're a parent like I am, or an entrepreneur like I am, or all the other stuff, there's always going to be trade-offs. So I want any effort you do, if you're going to do it this way or this way, it took the same amount of time and effort or money, do it the way that gives your hardware more energy. When I say hardware, I have a cellular perspective on this. So your body is a collection of cells, and each cell is a collection of ancient bacteria called mitochondria. Mitochondria sense the world around us, and they decide what to do. They can make energy, they can make heat, they can make inflammatory molecules, they can make some things that are pro-longevity. But they don't really do that based on what you want. They do it based on what they figure out about the world around you. So if you're in a stressful environment that you don't know is stressful, they're going to sense the stress and they won't do their job. So if we can get your hardware working better, you have more energy. And then we get into the software. And the software is basically how you allocate energy in the brain. The brain uses up to 20% of your calories every day. So your brain will make simple decisions and make them feel like they're absolutely the right decision. It does that when it's low on energy. If you have more energy, you make better decisions, you're more energetically regulated, and you have the power to transform yourself. The first thing that we do is, and this is before you think, there's about a 1 second gap between when something happens in the world and when you have conscious awareness of it. So what's happening in that second? The first third of the second, your body is deciding how you're going to feel about it before your brain gets any signal whatsoever. And then the next 2/3 of a second is your brain thinking about it. And then, look, I just noticed, and it feels like there wasn't a gap, but there was. It's a reaction speed thing, and it's entirely invisible to us by design. And if you ever see a cat move quickly, they're 10 times faster than we are on that. So first, just recognize your body makes decisions about the world before you do. And how did it know what to do, and how does it operate? The first thing it does is it looks at fear. Something is scary, run away from, kill, or hide. These are ancient bacteria doing this. This is a survival behavior. Like every life form does this. So if it's a perceived threat, shift energetics that way. If it's not a threat, then the body goes, can I eat it? If so, eat all of it relentlessly until you're stuffed. Right? Okay, fear food. The next F word is something that all life has to do to stay around forever. Do you know that one?
Fertility.
Fertility. I can't believe that you stole my joke. It's the other F word, Christine. So, yes, your body is making you want to do the recreational F word because it wants to make sure that you do the fertility word because survival of the species is important. Now, let me ask you this. Is there anything you've ever done that you're ashamed of that wasn't one of those 3 survival behaviors from your cells?
That's a very good question, because when you phrase it that way, it does tend to all orient towards that.
So you can blame your mitochondria for everything you've ever done. And then you think you did it, but you didn't. They did it, right? And they made you feel a certain way. They made you make a certain decision. And you looked at the cheesecake and the pizza, and your mitochondria said, what if you wrap the cheesecake with the pizza? Wouldn't that be good? And then you ate all of it. And you're going, what is going on? They have first dibs on your attention and on how you feel about things. And I'm sorry, I'm outing you for eating the cheesecake pizza burrito that you invented. It's shocking.
Yeah, it's a favorite of mine. I can't help it.
That sounds gross.
That sounds terrible.
And after fertility, then all life on Earth supports other life, which is your ecosystem, your community, right? So your lions eat some deer, right? Cool, it keeps the ecosystem balanced, and they support their pride, and humans do the same, and trees and frogs, we all do it. And then the final F word for humans is forgiveness. And this is having the energy left to let go and improve ourselves so that we can be happy and joyful and experience the pleasures of life. But if you're stuck in fear, food, fertility, it doesn't work. So rewriting your software is replacing fear with the opposite of fear. What's that?
Courage.
The opposite of fear is not courage.
Oh, okay. What do you think?
Courage is feeling fear and then doing it anyway, which is a sign of someone with enough mitochondrial function and willpower, and courage is awesome. Peace is the opposite of fear.
True.
It's when you don't have fear. And if you're in a state of peace, you can do something that others would think is courageous, but you didn't feel the fear. Because you trained your system to not be fearful when fear isn't warranted. Right? And that creates...
It's a skill that has to be developed.
Oh, yeah. And that's why we have meditation and breath work and all those things. And then on food, 1/3 of the average thoughts in an average person's brain, 1/3 of the thoughts in an average person's brain are about food, about tacos. And my brain doesn't do that because I taught myself to feel safe when my stomach is empty.
Yeah, I know you talk about that in your book, one of your fasting books,
Yeah,
where
Fast
you
This Way.
fast this way. Yeah, didn't you go into a cave for like 4 days and do a whole fast?
Yeah, I fasted in a cave for 4 days because I figured I would get hypoglycemic and hangry, and that way I couldn't yell at anyone. And if there's no food, then I won't cheat. So that worked. And then, so you can teach yourself to do that. So you're feeling peaceful if your stomach's empty. So we turn cravings into nourishment. So fear becomes peace, cravings and hunger become nourishment, and actually peace about hunger. And then the next one, fertility. OnlyFans, porn, all the stuff we don't want to be doing. Even just that time, you went on a date with, the whole cheerleading squad or something. Like there are times that you're like, I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to anyway. Every bad date you've gone on when you knew it was bad, it was your mitochondria just going, make sure that we have babies, right? And it doesn't feel like that's the way it is, but it is the way it is. And we can measure this with neuroscience. In fact, I do that at my 40 years as Zen company. So from there, okay, friend, does your community exist? Is your community nourishing you? Because if you have energy left for your friends in your community and your family, that really increases life satisfaction. You live longer. And at the end of the day, after you've done all that stuff, do you have enough energy to exercise, to meditate, to do some breath work, maybe get an adjustment, all the things that are self-care? A lot of us are too exhausted to do that.
Yep.
So biohacking, let's reallocate the energy so we're not triggered all the time, so that we're not hungry all the time, so that we have deep connections in our life and we don't feel lonely, and that we have an external community that supports us as well. When you do that, your whole body relaxes and you allocate energy towards making the world a better place. And you do it without having to think, because that's the friend word. You're wired inside your bones to be kind to other people and support the environment, support people, but you won't get there if you're stuck in fear.
Absolutely. So well said.
Well, thank you.
And so when you talk about biohacking, because I know a lot of people think of it in different ways, it's really just about upgrading the software system in whatever way you really want to, which ideally we should all be moving towards peace for the sake of our long-term health. Or how would you describe it as kind of the cultivator and father and developer of the biohacking world?
Well, one of the things that makes the system feel peaceful and safe is calmness. So if you're in a building that has a buzz all the time, and you have these bright LED lights right above your head, unless you have done a lot of meditation, you probably won't see that they're flickering, but they are. And flicker creates all sorts of biological stress. And then we have unnatural EMFs, which hundreds of studies show negatively affect mitochondrial function. And you could say, but that's not science. By the way, if you're triggered, it means you're carrying a loaded gun, and my finger's on the trigger. And that's kind of rude. You should chill out about that. Or you can troll me on my page. I'm fine with that too. I have fun with it. Expect a mom joke in response.
So with all of this, I'm so curious to ask, what is your opinion on the state of our healthcare system? And where do you feel like these tools can fill in the gaps? Because I really think that this is a model where both patients and doctors can win. And you're doing this with things like Upgrade Labs and 40 Years of Zen. But I'm so curious as to your opinion on that.
I don't think we have a healthcare system in the U.S.
I agree with you.
We have a sick care and reinforcement system that is designed for very sick people, and it makes the most money when we stay sick.
And that's the profitability model.
Yep. And I have no problem with profits. I am an entrepreneur and a capitalist. I just think it's okay to make money helping people, and that they're happy to pay a little bit more for something that actually works. And the government, because it's been captured by these big food companies, big pharma, it lies. The food pyramid, are you joking? Like, they just call it the obesity pyramid, right? And they've been doing this for decades, and it's disgusting. So just understand, your doctor's not there about your health. Your doctor's there if you get in a car accident or you have some really aggressive infection. The rest of your support team for your health and wellness is people that may be medical doctors, they may be chiropractors, they may be acupuncturists, they may be homeopaths, they may be massage therapists, they may be nutrition coaches, they may be your AI platform. And I'm about to roll one out for Upgrade Labs that's very comprehensive. And what I want listeners to understand is if you're a practitioner, come to the Business of Biohacking conference in Austin next week, businessofbiohacking.com. And this is where you can learn how to build these tools that allow you to radically increase the number of people you help and probably have a more profitable clinic, so that becoming an independent physician, it isn't a burden, where it's joyful. And I mean, you practice medicine in lots of different ways, and you do it without being usually, I think, in the insurance model, right?
Correct, yep.
So, and I just have to say this straight up. So who's in charge of your health? Is it your doctor? Is it your insurance company? Is it your employer? Is it your government? Who's your health daddy? And I hate to say it, it's you. You're your own health daddy. You just have to do that. And if you don't look to any of these people, like anytime I have to use insurance, I'm like, gross, it's going to take 2 hours of my time, which is worth more than whatever pittance they're going to give me, unless I need surgery, in which case I'm going to actually have someone else do that for me, because dealing with insurance companies is horrible. Every doctor I know, and I lecture to thousands of doctors about longevity every year, they hate insurance companies with a passion. Because insurance companies make their money by wasting doctors' time and wasting patients' time because it's too much friction in order to get any results. United Healthcare is one of the worst at this. They have an AI model that says no 90% of the time until you harass them. So this is something that will just leave the system. And when people realize, oh, maybe I'll spend a couple $100 this month not on insurance, which is not a small amount of money, but there are plenty of doctors who are happy to take care of you for that. There are also doctors who create models where, unlimited visits is $250 a month, and I'll just take care of you. I'll write whatever prescriptions you need. This is cheaper than insurance and way better for a lot of people. So we like to explore those models and help people learn how to do the marketing and the execution and the team building and just how practitioners or doctors or anyone in the health space can become an entrepreneur. Because I hate to say this, how many classes on business did you get when you were doing your medical training?
Well, one of the things I chose was a different school model that actually had some business classes.
Cool.
And with a school model that had some business classes, I think we had about 2.
2. Excellent. If I was going to train someone to be a terrible entrepreneur, I would send them to medical school. I hate to say it. There's so many doctors. They're just fantastic healers, and they're super smart, and they're well motivated. Like they care, but they don't know how to run a business because they're entirely different skill sets. They're even different energetic states. And a lot of doctors will do like 40 years of Zen, my 5-day intense neurofeedback program, where we kind of show you the altered states. And like, oh my gosh, I didn't know how to put on my business hat. And so showing people how to do that so that we can have more of the goodness in the world and less of this just fossilized insurance garbage medicine, I think it's going to really make a difference. And that's how biohacking is going to keep growing from $36 billion to $100 billion. And yes, United, we are coming for you.
Well, and I remind people that like with an insurance model, I have renter's insurance in case someone breaks into my house, but I don't expect the renter's insurance to clean my house. So I am responsible for cleaning my body, but if something breaks or bad happens to it, then yeah, I'll use the insurance model. And if people can start training themselves to see the world in that way, I think that's much more sustainable because we gave our health away like a couple decades ago and we never should have done that.
Yep. There's also the idea of a recipe is really helpful. So if you're a big pharma company and you wanted to invent bread, you would say, we did a double-blind placebo-controlled trial for $10 million and we baked yeast. It didn't work. Next, we baked water, and then salt, and then flour. Clearly, there is no bread. And we're like, you'd have to mix them in the right order, and then put them at the right temperature for the right time, and then you'd get some sourdough bread. Well, you think your health is a single cause? It's not.
No.
So why does medicine look for single causes? Because it lets them sell a lot of drugs, but there's never one cause, unless it's direct trauma. And even then, why did you inflame the way you did? It's complex. So you need a recipe, and sometimes you need a team. And that's why biohacking is so different, because we're using all the data to say what's really going on in there, and let's address the root cause, which sometimes is so much easier. Turn on mitochondria. Isn't that weird? Like 10 unrelated diseases all got better all at the same time, because they're not unrelated.
No.
But we don't think about things as a system or a recipe, and that's what biohacking does different than medicine, and it's why it's so complementary with all the functional practitioners I work with.
I love that because most diagnoses are a symptom, and you can't. You can treat symptoms, but you can't cure symptoms. So if you really want to get to the bottom of something, you have to go to the source. You
do. I wish we have like a ICD code for just being dumb, because if we did that, you go to like an endocrinologist. Sorry if you're a functional endocrinologist. I'm just teasing. But a lot of those guys are like, well, we don't know about that hormone. Like, what is going on here? It's because all systems are tied together. If your kidneys don't work, they're going to have an effect on your knees. And so you have to know both. But they don't teach this in medical school. It's just a broken system. Since you are a complex, beautifully engineered system with tons of resilience, the capacity to make a lot of energy, I just want that for you. So I would say definitely follow dave.asprey. And if you're an entrepreneur in this space or you want to be, businessofbiohacking.com can make a huge difference in just meeting other people on the path of transforming the health of people and making healthy profit at the same time, because I think they go together just fine.
Doctors have to stay healthy too, so got to have some kind of sustainability in self-care and a model that will work for the long term, and therefore you can give your patients long-term care and not burn out yourself.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're incredibly busy, and I love our conversations and your knowledge of biochemistry, and it's so much fun to learn from you. So I really appreciate it. And then if people wanted to come to the conference, any particular, I know you mentioned a website, but any particular areas you'd direct them for information?
Your best bet is businessofbiohacking.com. Obviously, I'll be there. I'm teaching, and you're coming, right?
I will be there.
Okay, cool. So you can come hang out with us.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you guys for joining. Let me see if there's any big burning questions of any kind. So for the where can we see the program, just go to the website that he just mentioned, businessofbiohacking.com. And seeing if there's anyone else. No other big questions for now, but thank you guys so much for attending. There's so many of you. We love to see you, and feel free to comment and ask any questions, and we'll both be watching the feed, and we're happy to answer whatever you have thoughts about. And thanks, Dave.
Oh, you got it.
Such a pleasure. Bye, guys.